Evidence for God in DNA itself. Lecture 1. Professor Dr. C. A. Menon, Trivandrum. The recent developments in science in general have taken us to a stage in which it is possible to know God and creation through the discoveries of science itself. This series of talks relate to what I call gnosis of God via science. In this series, which I call Evidence for God and Creation in DNA Itself, I shall deal with the origin and meaning of life in relation to the concept of God as creator and maker of all that is known, that is seen, and that are not seen. We shall start with facts relating to the discovery of DNA. DNA is perhaps the most popular word in science. It is the Trinitarian name of a molecule, also called the three-lettered deity of science. It is also called the seed of life, the mystery molecule of life, the master molecule of life, and so on by scientists. They have not yet been able to trace the mystery behind this molecule. The aim of this study, more specifically, is to reveal this mystery. And to reveal this mystery along with the mystery of the Maker. As we know through various religions and theological interpretations about God, creation, and so on, the Bible thus states that man is created in the image and likeness of God. So, what I wish to expose here is the same truth put in a different way. Man is made, DNA is made in the image and likeness of God. Coming to the phenomenon of life itself, it is a phenomenon with a physical, that is material, mental, spiritual, and divine connections, of which biology deals only with the physical and material. The discovery of DNA as physical base of life is perhaps the greatest contribution of science to the study of life on the one hand, and of God as life on the other, I would say. The main concern of the present study is to explain the religious teaching of God as life, drawing evidences from DNA and also from the genetic code called the language of life. So these are basic information with which we have to start this study. DNA and the genetic code. These are the two important details we have to have before we start this study. I shall present some of the important facts relating to these two for general information. It was only in 1953, a year after I passed my MSc from the Kerala University, that the structure of DNA as the molecule of life was elucidated by Watson and Crick. In fact, the wealth of information on life this molecule has generated in the past 70 years, that is 7 decades, has made it a polyglot molecule with links to other disciplines of science like physics and chemistry, then mental sciences, psychology, psychotherapy, etc., religion, theology, medicine, and so on. So this is a multidisciplinary study on life which includes not only the objective disciplines of science but also the subjective disciplines. Now coming to the origin of the DNA molecule, various opinions have been expressed by scientists themselves, some of which are, I must say, silly or childish and not consistent with what we call science and scientific reasoning. One such view is that the DNA molecule is the outcome of a historical accident, that is, by chance. This view was proposed by no less a person than F.H.C. Crick himself. Crick is one who brought out the molecular structure of DNA along with Watson and others. He said that life is the outcome of a historical accident. Then there was much criticism about it, and so he said he switched on to another view that he called panspermia, directed panspermia. Panspermia is the first view he has proposed, and then he passed on to directed panspermia, which states that the DNA molecule was dropped into some soupy seas of the past by men from other planets. That is why it was called panspermia. More or less the same view of origin of DNA by chance was proposed by J.D. Watson, co-discoverer of the structure of the DNA molecule. He said that the origin of DNA is largely due to chance, but chance was mediated by patterns of information that lie half hidden in the cosmos. I shall repeat it because it is very important. Chance was mediated by patterns of information that lie half hidden in the cosmos. So he concedes that there are other extra genetic or extra biological or extra scientific factors that influenced the formation of the DNA molecule, which he was not able to propose or to identify. That is a very important view. So what I am trying to do through this series of lectures is that these patterns of information he thought which lie half hidden in the cosmic chaos is half hidden in DNA itself. We need not go out into the cosmos to find out the secrets of origin of the DNA molecule, because it is buried deep in DNA itself, which I am trying to bring out through this series of lectures. The basic information required for this is simply a knowledge of the important patterns of DNA and the related molecule RNA. So these are the two molecules the structure of which we should be familiar with. Strangely enough, DNA has 4 bases, as also RNA has. Some say there was an RNA world in the beginning from which the DNA originated. So they give preference to RNA, from which DNA came. And the question remains how RNA came into existence. RNA is the molecule of life, after which the language of life is known. The language of life called the genetic code. The genetic code is constituted of 64 triplets drawn from 4 bases of RNA in 3 patterns of 3. So this takes us to the trinity in biology. 3 bases coding for 1 amino acid in a 3:1 ratio. And this 3:1 ratio, you must know, is basic to the science of genetics itself, in that the father of genetics, the father of classical genetics, called Gregor Johann Mendel, discovered the 3:1 ratio through breeding of the garden bees. That is another story which all students of genetics must know and are dealt with in initial classes is genetics. I am interested here only in the 3:1 ratio with which the science of genetics was started by a Catholic priest by name Gregor Johann Mendel. Now coming back to RNA and the genetic code, we must go back to the origin of the genetic code. And researches have been done by notable scientists, of which geneticist P. Gavaudan has come out with a very important paper. In the International Congress of Genetics at The Hague years ago, I don't exactly remember the year, he said that the genetic code frozen at the triplet level is strangely dictated and edificated in ways which are quite unknown. I shall repeat it. The genetic code frozen at the triplet level. That is a very important point. That is, it is a frozen code. It did not originate in 1, 2, 3 fashion. It is frozen at the triplet level. Number 2, it is strangely dictated. It means that there is a dictator behind it. These are the words of a geneticist approved by the International Genetic Congress at The Hague, that you should bear in mind. So the genetic code frozen at the triplet level is strangely dictated. Not only that, it is strangely dictated, but it is also edificated. And edification is a sort of a religious term. It is edificated, and then he goes on to say that it is edificated in ways which are quite unknown to science. So, the scientist, the geneticist of the ear, assembled and agrees to this view, say that it is quite unknown to science. So the mystery of origin of life remains unknown to science, and this mystery continues even today, without science being able to expose this mystery meaningfully and with a scientific reason itself, to which I shall pass in the next lecture. Today, I shall stop with this. Thank you.